Welcome to Readings from the Animal Kingdom with Kareema from Pet Care Magic. I'm an animal communicator, a Reiki master who specialises in animals, and an intuitive psychic. And I like to combine all of those modalities into channeling messages from the animal kingdom for myself and for others. We live within a community of not only people, but a community of many, many wild animals, as well as many domesticated animals. You might have dogs, cats, or fish, or birds, or rats, or mice, or whatever in your home, tarantulas, if that's the sort of animal you love, in your home. But then there's also a huge number of animals outside of your home, from big to small, up in the sky, down in the earth, even under the earth, in the trees, right around us. And all of those animals, at any particular point in time, may or may not have a message for you. And I'm going to invite you through these readings done every week on a Sunday, hopefully, to listen to that message, take what resonates for you, and open up your way of thinking over the following week into how that message does or doesn't fit into your life. It's okay if it doesn't. It's okay if only some of it does. That is 100% up to you. The animal kingdom has no egos. They don't mind. They just hang around out there, and if they're given an opportunity to communicate a message, they will. Each week will have a particular theme to it. Before I start the reading, I will meditate on what animal I think has the overarching message for that week. And I will then choose which of the numerous animal-themed decks I have to work out which deck I will be using for that reading. So this week's reading comes to you from the overriding theme of king parrots. To be honest, I can't tell you whether king parrots are all around the world, but they are certainly here in Australia. And some years back, going through a bit of a crisis of confidence, and I spent quite a lot of time sitting on the veranda at the deck. The veranda, sorry, it's a Sunday, my head's all over the place today. Sitting on the veranda of the farm, and there was a tree right near where I used to sit, and these king parrots used to come down and feast on the seeds or the nuts or whatever. There was something, or the flowers that were in this particular tree. This is a king parrot feasting on a grevillea, which is an Australian native. And I don't know whether it was a grevillea. I honestly don't quite know, but I know it was an Australian native. And like many of the bird species, the brighter colour is the male. So this is obviously a male. And I was sitting there yesterday, not out on the farm. I don't live out there anymore, unfortunately, but in town yesterday, and just having a little thought about and asking the animal kingdom. There was no obvious animal that was saying to me, pick me, I need to be the overriding theme. And just sitting there in the fresh air, and this memory came into my head of the king parrots that used to come down and sit on the deck. They helped me, along with a lot of other animals, and on my own animals as well. They helped me through a very difficult time in my life when I was really struggling to work out what I was doing and where I wanted to go, and what life going forward was going to look like for me. And in fact, if life going forward was going to be on the cards for me. So it's the king parrot that I'm going to dedicate today's overriding reading from, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to tell me. I'm using the World Animal Card deck from Scott Alexander King. So that's a bit of a disconnect, because the king parrot is very Australian and the World Animal Card deck is not very Australian. It's very wild animals, and it's got a fair bit of an African basis. So who knows? I was thinking originally of using one of my First Nations people's decks, which is a little bit more of a connect, but my head, as I say, is all over the place today. So let's get into this. And this reading is for tomorrow, December the 4th, through to December the 10th, or tomorrow here in Australia. And I haven't even chosen the deck. I haven't even chosen the cards. I really don't know what is going to come up. So let's find out, shall we? I'll invite you now to click pause on the video, look at the card A, B, and C, and jot down either in the comments below or on a piece of paper, wherever you think is appropriate,
Which card resonates most for you? This is not something you have to do within seconds. It might take you a couple of minutes. At this point, you might walk away and say, I'm not going to do this today. That's all very fine. But is it A, B, or C that most calls to you?
So the first card that's come out is 43, which is the turkey. So the turkey, and this is what looks to be this is a turkey as in farmyard turkey. As distinct from over here, we have obviously your standard farmyard turkeys here over here being here in Australia. We obviously have your farmyard turkeys, but we also have another turkey that's called a bush turkey. I don't know. There's obviously some link to them. And the bush turkeys you see more in the warmer areas of Australia. So we got a few of them down here on the mid-north coast, but you see quite a lot of them the further north you go in Australia. And once you get right up to the top end of Australia, they are literally everywhere. So what's a turkey do? I mean, it said shared blessing, and my mind goes instantly to the fact that Christmas is what everybody's talking about at the moment. What's up, Pop? Come here, Pop. Christmas is what everybody's talking about at the moment, and Christmas is meant to be a time of shared blessings, lots of getting together with family and blah 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 humbug, all that sort of stuff. But we do know that not that is the way it always is for everybody. And I know in the US you've just come through Thanksgiving. Again, the same thing. There's a lot of rose-colored glasses stuff about Thanksgiving. It's all happy families getting together and celebrating. And again, bah humbug. No, I'm not cynical. Yeah, I am very. And the reality is that it's those sorts of events now are becoming less and less for a lot of people. This whole big family stuff is becoming less and less. It's becoming harder and harder with the way the economics are at the moment. So is it a shared blessing? So what I keep seeing as I'm looking at this card is I'm seeing and hearing the noise that the turkey makes. Turkeys, you've got the gobble gobble, but you've also got the scratch 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 scratch. They're very good at turning over the ground. They dig and they dig and they dig and they dig and they just keep digging, and their whole life each day is about digging. And that's what's resonating for me right now, the fact that I've got the turkeys saying to me, dig, you need to dig, everybody needs to dig. Certainly I need to dig. I need to dig deep down. It's a very difficult time of year for me at this moment, and I suspect it's a very difficult time of year for lots of people. 2023 has been another really hard year on the back of 2020, 21, 22, and now 23. So that's 20, 21, 22. That's sort of like 4 years now of what's been, a lot of difficulty for a lot of people. I'm certainly seeing all that all over the Facebook groups. I've just been looking at some posts on some Facebook groups I'm in for women in business, and everybody's struggling here in Australia. They're struggling overseas, and even if they're not struggling, even if they are doing very well, life is still about it's still about difficulties, and it's still about thinking you're at rock bottom and knowing that you have to keep digging deeper, and think. And the turkey never stops. It never stops digging. You never see it. Oh, they must sleep at some stage, or they must take a rest at some stage. But I would suspect that sort of almost like 18 out of 24 hours in a day, a turkey's doing this constant digging, 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 digging. And with that digging is constant turning over, constant change, constant the surface they're walking on. And moving along, they're constantly changing it. So that then brings to my mind the constant change of life for a lot of us at the moment. You think everything's going to be stable, you think everything's going to be fine, and literally the rug gets pulled out from under your feet, or massive changes come, and then you think to yourself, oh my God, how am I going to how am I going to handle this? You know, how am I going to keep handling this? And so the message from the turkey is keep digging deep, keep going. That what you're searching for is there, but it's deep, it's buried down, and you have to really, really, really dig and bring it up to the surface. And then sadly, the turkey's also saying to me, that's never going to stop. I wish it would. Some days, honestly, if you're like me, some days you just want to crawl into bed, pull the covers up over your head and say, stop, world, stop, you know. So that to me is the big message that's coming out of the turkey at the moment. It's a very proud bird. It revels, particularly the male turkey, revels in the way it looks. And if we go back to who our key animal for this reading is, which is the birds, the parrots, they're beautiful. They know they're beautiful within a way. Like, not most animals don't know. They don't have the concept of ego and knowing they're beautiful and strutting their stuff. But these animals look amazing. They, you know, the colours that you see on animals, the colours that you see on turkeys. This card's sort of even not doing the colours that I know turkeys have on them the best justice, like that. The green on their bodies is usually a really iridescent green. It sort of shines and shimmers in the sunlight. I think that's the most of what we can get from the first card at the moment. Let's just put that up there and see what else. So just to, and the parrots just came into my head, and they virtually said to me, yes, the turkey's saying to you, keep digging and keep digging deep. But the parrots then came in and added, but have a home base, have somewhere that's familiar, that's safe, that's nurturing to come back to. Because remember, these king parrots that were out on the farm with me, virtually most days, it was a pretty rare day that they didn't have this tree that was nurturing, that was safe, that there was obviously a big source of food for them. To come, and they obviously feel very safe there, despite the fact that I had the dogs weren't where I used to sit, but I did have dogs within the yard, and I had cats, and then there's all the wild animals that are out on an Australian farm as well. But yeah, the parrots just came into my head and said, dig deep, but also remember that even though you've got to go sometimes a long way to dig deep, I should imagine most of the turkeys have quite a decent sized range, that to have somewhere that is safe and secure and nurturing, that you know is consistent, and you know it's there, and you know it's a place to come to. And then they just went mad on me because unfortunately we had to cut that tree down a couple of years ago, and I've apologized for that. That having a place to know that is safe and secure to come to is important. So this matches in very well with the turkey that we just saw. Turkeys are very strong. Think about the leg muscles they must have to keep all of that scratching. And ants are very strong, and also ants, classic. Every time an ant comes up for me in a reading, I sort of flash to the memory of, I don't know, I heard it somewhere, heavens only knows where I heard it, but an ant can usually carry or pull so much more weight, so much more than its body weight. It was some, you know, incredibly phenomenal amount greater than its body weight, like, you know, beating every bodybuilder known to man. They have incredible strength. And what the ant adds to this whole discussion is the whole strength in numbers. So not only are they individually very strong, but when they band together, they are very, very, very strong. And we're getting a lot of ants. I've got a lot of ants around here at the moment because we've had some nasty, not nasty rainy weather. I love rain, don't get me wrong, and we needed it. But I've had a lot of ants in around the kitchen sink, and that's about the only place I get them, but in around the kitchen sink, and or the dog food if I leave the dog food out. And they usually here in Australia, I can't talk for overseas, but here in Australia, lots of ants running around inside and coming inside is usually a sign that quite a bit of rain is going to come, and that was what they've been predicting all week, and it didn't really happen, but who knows what next week's going to be. And we are going into our what we call our storm season here in Australia, which is not we get cyclones further up north, but down here on the mid-north coast we get a lot of really big, massive thunderstorms coming at us from they can come at us from all directions. They can come at us from up north of us, coming down through Queensland and into the top half of New South Wales where I am, or they can come over the ranges from inland New South Wales, or they can come at us from the south. The south is much less likely. And we have had this week, there has been quite a bit of flooding down through Victoria and some of the southern parts of New South Wales. Not sure whether that's still on. I haven't really been following it. So yeah, lots of, which is really unusual for this time of year. We don't normally get those sorts of flood events. And although the light is just gone, I don't have any overhead lights on, so and I think I can hear the rain starting here again. Indicates normally that the there's lots of cloud around. Clouds mean rain, obviously. So the ant is saying, and the ant is reinforcing the message that the turkey gave us, which was keep digging. And to me, the ant is saying find the strength to keep digging. Sometimes the superhuman strength that you need to keep digging. And again, this comes back to the whole, how is everybody feeling at the moment? And I don't know, so many people I speak to are so tired. I classify myself as being a very, very positive, normally a very, very positive person, but I'm even struggling at the moment to be very positive. I'm falling in the camp with everybody that's saying, well, will this year just end? Almost to the point of, is this decade over yet? Everybody's struggling with what seems to be one hit after another. I don't know how much social media and TV are contributing towards that, because it just seems one crisis after another. War in Ukraine, and then war in Israel and the Gaza Strip, and then war in all the other places that normally has war. In Australia, they're constantly bombarding us with this. You're spending too much. You cannot spend this much. Inflation is too high, and we need to get inflation down. We're 2-3 days away from finding out whether the Reserve Bank is going to increase the cash rate again. And when that happens, what happens is the banks then go and increase people's mortgages. And quite frankly, people just can't handle that at the moment. And I have am I on my economic soapbox after the 2020, 2021 and 2022, when basically the government here in Australia went after people in small businesses and basically closed them down for months on end, shut borders, literally bankrupted small businesses. And now when we get an opportunity, when they're open again, and they've been open again for pretty well all of 2023, they're now saying, well, general public, you're not allowed to go out and spend with these people. Well, guys, what do you want? Do you want us not to spend and not to support the people that are desperate to try and recoup some of the problems they had in, that you caused in those years? But anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms that I probably shouldn't go into. So, yeah, the ant is very much about strength. And unlike the turkey and the king parrots, the ant's a very unassuming creature. The ant that's on this card is a very stylized ant. And I do know that some ants look amazing, but the general old garden variety ants we get around here are small, and they're tiny, and they're black, and they're basically unassuming, but they are in multitude of numbers. So that's the first two cards. Oh, okay. You're going to love this one. So I'll show you what this is. It's beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. And this fits very well with today's theme. So this fits really well into the theme that we've been hearing across today's reading. Let me go back to this. And because the wording that's on this this card is the horse, personal power. And so if you think what we've already said already, the turkey is saying dig deep, the ant is saying find strength, and the horse is saying personal power. So the message that's clearly coming across to me from these three cards together is you have the personal power to dig deep and the strength that you need to do it. A sort of bit of a subtext going on here is that also this horse being so gorgeous is that it's okay to look amazing. With it to look amazing, it's okay to be to go out there and strut the fact the way you look, you know. And you saw the flash of me on this Zoom, so I clearly don't care. But yeah, the personal power of the horse. The horses, if you think back to the king parrots just said to me, and think about the fact that we need a safe space to come back to. Horses very much need that. When I grew up, there was a very famous, famous Australian rider who wrote a book called the Silver Brumby series. She lived on the edges of Kosciuszko National Park, where we have Australian Brumbies. They're horses that were over the decades released up into the Snowy Mountains National Park, released by farmers, and they became what's called the Australian Brumby. And if you read through her books, and I read pretty well every one of her books ever written, and probably 10 times each, very much horses living in wild herds like that, they tend to have a place where they go back to. So Thora, I think it was. Can't remember the name of the lead horse now, but the main character in this book, and she based a lot of these around her observations of the horse herds up there, and there still are wild horse herds up there. They tended to have this secret valley that was their safe, secure spot. And even if though they went out and roamed when they had to roam, they would come back to this secret valley where they felt safe, where there was good food and good water. At times they would live away from the secret valley, but they just kept coming back. And that's what horses do. Horses, even the horses on my 50 odd acres out there, you'll see them sleeping in the same spot every night within reason, unless there's a really bad weather event or something, and then they're taking cover under the sheds. And they have a very regimented routine. The mornings you'll generally find them in one spot. So my horses have free range of the whole 55 acres, and it's pretty weird not to be able to find them in a particular spot based on the time of day, because they're very much creatures of habit, and they don't rely on the world to do things for them. They know how to go searching for food. They know how to go searching for water, and particularly these wild horse herds. They say, well, we've got to make our existence as good as it can be. So what do we need to do that? And that then is coming back to what we've been talking about here today, which is the turkey is saying dig deep, the ant is saying find the strength to do it, and to me the horse is saying you have the personal power to do this. It's within you. You have to dig deep. You have to find the strength to do it, but it is within you, and you can do it, and you've just got to find it. To me, and then I'm not quite sure how the parrots sort of overlay all this, other than they're adding the whole, come back to come. If you do have to go outside of your range, and you will have to go outside of your comfort zone to dig deep and to find the strength to do it, and that is always about finding the personal power to do it. But always remember to come back and be somewhere safe and secure and nurturing, because that will replenish the power you need to get up tomorrow and go back to digging deep and finding the strength to do it and tapping into their personal power. I'm hoping that's making sense for people, because it's sort of making sense for me. And I'm sort of just asking the animal kingdom now, is there really anything they want to add? And I've basically heard, no, we're good. I think that's been a really strong and consistent message today, a really powerful message today. and they're sort of all nodding at me as though to say, yep, you got it. Yeah, that's enough to go on with, because the feeling is that's a lot to go on with. I fully am aware that the whole digging deep, finding the strength to do it, and tapping into personal power, particularly at this time of year when everybody, or not everybody, that's not true, but so many people are so tired and so over it, and feeling like there's nothing left. That's not necessarily going to be an easy thing to do. So anyway, I hope you found, I was going to say strength, or, you know, I hope you found that message of some help to you. You know, the animal kingdom always reminds me that we have got the power to do, and that sometimes we need to look outside of what we think is the normal places we look. Thank you very much for being here with me today. I hope you found this enjoyable. It is for educational purposes only. If you do want a fuller reading, then I do those obviously online, so you can be anywhere in the world. Just go to petcaremagic.com and you will find the link to book a time to have a fuller animal reading. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons if you want to be notified when I do more of these each week. Thank you, and I hope you all have a really great week.